What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Code, DC, UPenn's finest, Chris Coacher, CB, Coacher Boy. We got another great episode for you guys today. We're recapping Week 15 in the NFL, an absolutely amazing slate of games. Josh Allen might have put a dagger on the MVP race, but Lamar Jackson says, hold up, not so fast.
Wait a minute.
I got a Jackson 5 for you. And then we're talking about the Eagles pass game all week. Jalen Hurts says, hold up, I got something for you with the broken finger on the non-throwing hand, but still. Just an absolutely great slate of games that we're going to be recapping.
If you were doing that on the throwing hand, you got to be put in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if you're doing that on the throwing hand, bro, you couldn't say nothing to me. But nonetheless, before we get started, I'm going to remind everybody, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications so you don't miss a single episode or upload. If you're listening also audio platforms, leave a like, 5-star review, follow the channel, download the episode if you enjoyed it. All those things that's going to help push the algorithm. But got to start with Summits and Plummets with Danny. Danny.
I'm gonna start off with the plummet. Be very obvious. Steelers lost to the Eagles. So I have to wear my Eagles hat in shame today. So it's actually there's no shame. I love it. I think it's gonna be. It was a good game. The score, you're gonna be like, 2-touchdown game. The game was close until the Eagles took over. We can talk about that more later, but the game was really close.
Work.
I mean, the Eagles had 10 minutes where they just in game.
That's called being a better and dominating football team. 10 minutes.
We'll get into it later, but don't want to get too much into it now. Summit. We can talk about this more on Wednesday or Thursday when we have our episode. Steelers will play the Ravens for the AFC North title this week. And you're going to be like, oh, wait, but the Ravens don't win the title if they win. The Steelers clinch if they win, but the Ravens don't. You're right. But if the Steelers lose, they need to win out or have the Ravens lose to the they need to either win out or have the Ravens lose to the Texans to be so it's
what's sounding a little more like a better scenario.
I mean, the Ravens losing to the Texans it's a coin flip. I mean, the Texans are a good team. The Ravens are a really good team. So
okay, let's not say coin flip. The Ravens will be favored in that football game.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. They'll probably be 4-point favorites. If it's in Texas, they'll probably be 2-point favorites.
If they're home, I'd give them a touchdown.
I give them 5.
Texans ain't good. Texans ain't good.
I think they get the same amount of points as the Eagles get on the Steelers at home.
The Texans, I'm not even going to try to explain it. I think the Texans are worse than all the teams we've just talked about. So, nonetheless.
No worries to be said because the Ravens will be on the road on Christmas for that game.
Then give them 4.5.
Yeah. I don't know what the spread is right now. There's probably no spreads out yet. But, yeah, we can make a bunch of predictions. But I just think that it sets up for primetime 2012-esque AFC North football. Ravens have essentially punched their ticket to the playoffs. The AFC playoff picture is already going to be the top 7 teams. 2 of the teams, maybe we didn't expect them to be there, the Chargers and the Broncos. If you would have told me back in August, the Chargers and Broncos and the AFC West is a team that has 3 teams getting the playoffs, would not have picked that.
Never wrong, just early. From 3 years ago.
Oh.
When they first got Devontae Adams, the Raiders, and we were like, oh, hold up. And Broncos first got Russ. But yeah. Let's swing it to Chris for Summits and Plummets where had to have a good.
Chris has a unknown summit that LeBron is back. It's probably not a summit.
No,
LeBron is back.
He's just going to get more steroids in his body. So
no more Diddy charges for him.
No, it was never that. It was just the steroids and also he had to go sacrifice a baby goat so he can get back together. It's okay. He'll be good.
Wait, did you see the
He
guy who was
sacrificed
like
your immune system, dude.
he was
Yeah,
like
As one of his most loyal followers, it
and
comes
that's okay.
There's a price.
If my immune system is the price I pay for another GOAT James season, a Jackson 5, I'll be sick for the rest of the year. I don't care.
they said LeBron was transforming his body into Bronny so he could become a different another career in through Bronny.
I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised. That'd be
Like,
actually elite. To be honest, I get behind that 1,000%. But what's my my plummet? I'm starting with my plummet. No, I'm starting with something. I'm gonna start something. My summit is that we're only like 9 days away from Christmas, and like I said, Christmas is my favorite time, bro. I'm just so hyped just to be around my family and to watch football on Netflix. That's exactly what I'm excited for. I can't wait.
Football on Netflix.
I can't wait for it to be buffering for 14 minutes and I miss half the game. I'm
Like
looking.
the Jake Paul fight.
Oh my god, bro! I can't wait. I can't wait till I can't watch half the game. And my plummet is this weekend in football. I seen everything that I hated about football this year. Okay, the Josh Allen wins MVP every week, but everybody else loses every week. The one thing I hate the most. And wow, it was filled with aura and probably going to be one of the coolest things you see for the year. Jalen Hurts went out there and told us this straight to our face. Y'all happy about that? Yes, we're happy you played quarterback to two receivers. Yes, we're happy you threw the ball down the field. Those are the two things I hate the most. I hate that Josh Allen wins every week. And then that Jalen Hurts has to come out and say he was being a quarterback, people to be, okay with it. I think those are the two things wrong.
Welcome to Philadelphia.
Everybody's so reactionary. Like Jalen Hurts had, I think, 3 games under like 150, and they just act like he turned into a quarterback from Army where they only gonna run triple options. Josh Allen plays good. It's just he wins MVP. So I think those are the two things I hate the most. And I got to see both of those in prime this weekend.
Yeah, let's be honest though. Lamar, Kyler, all these dual rushing quarterbacks, they've had plenty of games where they're super efficient. They don't need to throw the ball that much.
That's what I'm saying.
Rely on their run game. So Jalen has a few games and he's getting criticized all of a sudden. So yeah, I'm with that there.
That's what I'm saying.
How do you criticize someone for having a turnover-free, efficient football, but just because you're not throwing for 250 yards, 300 yards?
And it'd be different if he was like, and I think the last thing I'm saying about the for one losing, and for two, it'd be different if he was handing off to Saquon Barkley. He's literally giving it to Saquon Barkley. Like if all else fails, I swear I'm happy that you can give it to Saquon Barkley instead of.
And he's giving it to Saquon Barkley's little brother of twins in Kenneth Gainwell. Dude, he looks awesome.
We're not doing that. He had a great game. We're not doing that.
He looked
awesome game. We're not doing that.
He looked just as heel light. Might I?
That spin move looked like Saquon, but
that spin move looked disgusting.
Shook your boy out of his boots, man.
By the way, y'all. I told y'all when he touched the ball, good things happen. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not going for that.
That's all I'm saying.
I guess I can start with my summit. I think the voters of college football got it right. And Travis Hunter, only the second defensive player ever to win the Heisman. And it only took being voted as the best receiver in college football to win it. But nonetheless, I know debates are going to go on forever, as they should. This was easily the best Heisman race of my lifetime. We have an all-time running back season, probably one of the 5 best running back seasons of all time. We'll see where he lands. And then you have not something that not only we have never seen, you're never going to see again. An elite two-way star. Many scouts will maybe consider him both the best corner and receiver in this upcoming draft. Doing it in Colorado, of all places. It's next level conditioning, but don't get it twisted. It's not just insane cardio. He had 1,300 snaps on the year, and he was elite for about 1,290 of them. He was an elite football player for 1,290 snaps. Don't think, snaps aren't a stat. Sure, out of context, yeah, who cares about the snaps? And then you realize, 1, that's probably double than anyone else. And 2, he's doing it as the best player in college football. So that's what I have to say about Travis. Of course, congrats to, to JT, I know it was probably disappointing, but you know, you got to you move on, and then Dylan Gabriel and Cam Ward, the pinnacle of I'm just happy to be here, because I don't think anybody was really paying attention to those two. But
yeah, man, I think a plummet that none of us have to talk about, what none of us talked about, was the way that Travis Hunter's fiance is being treated on social media.
come on, yeah, that I was gonna say that we're turning into a little hot girl talk podcast for a second. Y'all don't know these people. Y'all have to stop being so fixated on celebrity relationships. It's not
Yeah,
besides
Travis.
Josh Allen.
If you're
Besides
hearing
Josh
this,
Allen and Haley Steinfeld, I'm all the way invested. But it's just y'all don't know these people. Like, why do you care so much?
yeah, and Travis, if you're
I
hearing
will
this,
say
come on the podcast and we can discuss why they're cooked. We're better than Kai Cenat, you know.
I think we more so
we're
care
better.
about your well-being, sir. And I think at the end of the day, for me, just and any athlete out there, it's one thing not be supported, or it's one thing but it's just I agree with y'all on people commenting on it because people don't know. But also too, you kind of give them something to comment on when it's so many things back to back. So I feel like that's more PR too. Like his people, whoever his PR people are, I feel they got to be on top of that too. Because even if it is problems,
I'll say that
still got to be on top of it.
okay, I don't know these people.
As a group. Yeah.
The best part about this though is they say you can tell Travis Hunter never got girls as a kid. I'm like, bro, okay, y'all leave him alone, bro, please.
Unfortunately, true. Also, unfortunately, that's why.
But okay, and another cool thing I learned: Travis Hunter's best friend is a bull rider. I didn't know that at all. They were like, "Your buddy just won the Heisman." He said, "You're darn right he did." I'm like, okay,
Dude. I mean, he's from Georgia, dude. Like, what do you expect?
I mean, hey, look, JT playing football at Idaho, and he still got a black girlfriend. So
Idaho,
Travis, hey man, congrats on the Heisman. You got a fiance. You're the honorary son of the greatest defensive player of all time.
That's probably the best part.
Or at least the best corner of all time.
Yo,
okay.
You know what's crazy? Imagine being good at football, and like a famous football player just basically adopts you pretty much.
Yeah, that's like the script of All American. So
he's literally just Spencer James. He's literally just Spencer James.
Basically.
But like,
except in this story, there's another son that also plays football, and
he's actually good.
Yeah. Well, I was referring to like Shiloh, but Shiloh's funny though, so it can all slide.
It's kind of funny because like you do got the quarterback wide receiver going for him too.
Yeah, and Spencer played both ways, so that's kind of
he played both ways, but he a receiver just like Trav.
Trav, he plays both ways, but he's a corner.
I think he's a receiver.
He's a way better corner.
I want to see how that works out come draft time.
The scouts, at least things from what I've seen, they're saying they're drafting him as a corner, and we'll figure out a way to get you on offense. And if you can really play both ways, we'll talk about that when we get there. But we're treating you like a corner.
He'll have to learn how to. He'll have to learn how to be Marcus Jones. Marcus Jones got everything on Trav.
Marcus Jones. Okay.
The Patriots corner.
Yeah.
He's nice. He's no disrespect, but he's
nice. He is what people think Travis is. Whole time Travis is like sauce on one side, and then he's
Tyler Lockett on the other.
He's way better
Percy Harvin.
Percy Harvin. Like a prime Percy. He might even be better than that because Percy got a lot of his money. I guess offensive, his ball skills are so one of one, even for his frame.
Yo, why does he move like Jettas?
Maybe Devontae Smith-esque.
He does move like Justin Jefferson, but I'm not going to say he's the best wide receiver in football and he's the best corner in football in one. but
he has the Justin Jefferson like.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Because I feel like I've definitely mentioned this before, but if I did have to give like a real plummet of it all, Drew Aller staying at my schools. He's staying at Penn State for another year. Leave my team.
No, he's staying in college. Doesn't mean he's staying at Penn State.
He said he's they said he's returning to the team for next year. And that's why Bo Pribula is transferring.
when they get a freshman that's hitting the road, he might be.
I can't believe Drew Aller's on my football team, man. I don't know. Maybe okay. He says one final year to show me he's this Josh Allen, Justin Herbert baby thing.
You know what? He probably went to a consulting meeting with like an agent, and they were like, "Yeah, dude, you're gonna be in the UFL soon. So what you should do is make as much NIL now, and then
he'll be in a class with contract. Arch. Arch is easily the betting favorite for early number 1 overall pick.
Maybe Quinn. No. I'm saying Quinn might be in a class.
Quinn will be playing in NFL Europe. That kid stinks. Actually,
last chance
I take Aller over yours because he's younger with more tools, and he doesn't suck that bad.
Is he younger?
He's younger.
They're both 34.
Didn't Quinn go to college early?
Joe, Aller's a junior. He said he's 34.
Dude, Quinn
Aller looks like he's like 18. Like he looks like such a baby.
Dude, are you kidding me? Sure. Quinn Ewers is 21.
I thought he was 26.
But he should have, been left Texas. He should have went to the draft already.
So I got one thing after you finish your Summits and Plummet. Something I've been thinking about for a couple of days. When you're done, Tom.
No, go ahead. That's literally all I had to say is that Drew Aller staying at my school. But
I guess it is a plummet. All right, so after we end Summits and Plummets, I want to ask y'all a question before we start. And this one question is not even necessarily sports related all the time, but it's one question I've been thinking about. Now, it's three villains, right, that had ideas for another world, in a sense, or ideas to make the world better. You have the Night King from Game of Thrones, right? Mm-hmm. You have Thanos, and you have Bane. Which one of the three was more correct in their wanting for a new world? Who would you pick? Okay, Thanos, who would you say, Tom?
I think I would say Thanos, but I've never necessarily, just basing this off the MCU, I don't know if there's more context to his just, snapping and we're getting rid of half the people at random. That's kind of,
crazy. Well, it was more
like if any of the Avengers was going to go, it was going to be, Tony Stark. But they chose the most pure-hearted guy of all of them. So it's, the at random thing kind of ruins it, but it, you get the gist.
Yeah, I was wondering what.
I'm also I'm not too tapped in to Game of Thrones lore, so maybe that could be the answer. I got nothing for Bane, but
yeah,
and maybe that means I'm not tapped into Batman lore. I don't know.
But I don't know if I am either. That's why I asked, because I seen Bane. I'm like, well, I thought Bane just had an attitude problem. He wanted to just hurt people. That was my thought. But apparently, that's not it.
Naruto has a lot of villains like that. And that's why they're widely known as one of the best animes when it comes to antagonists. And Naruto is basically about how do men handle loss. And then you have guys like Naruto, and then you have the villains. But they all just a bunch of crash outs, for better or worse. But we can move on.
George Pickens.
Yeah, they said George Pickens was salivating when they was fighting on the field. On every single episode, you will see me wearing some kind of hat, whether it's a snapback, whether it's a dad style hat. I always got to have something to complete the outfit. And the only place where I get my hats is lids.com. Lids.com has so many different brands. And of course, they have a bunch of different styles. Like I just said, it could be dad hat, snapback. It could be fitted. It could be Velcro back. Whatever you want, they got it. And with the NFL season coming up, I know you're going to want to rock and represent your favorite squad. Me personally, I'm a big Eagles guy, and I love this 47 brand throwback hat that I got from lids.com. Or if you're more of a snapback guy, I also got this NBA champions Boston Celtics new era cap from lids.com as well. If you like either of those hats and you feel like you want one to represent your squad, click the link in the description below. Whether it's new era or 47, both links will take you right to lids.com. And the best thing about Lids, they always have some type of deal going on their website. So make sure you click that link and check out any deals they got going on at lids.com to get his crack at things. We can start with the Thursday game. It was rainy in the first half.
Had us in the first half, not going to lie.
Yeah, but Rams, they win a real ugly one over the 49ers. The 49ers' hopes at the playoffs look about as grim as they're going to be.
Apparently, that lost Purdy an extension.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, that is a game where you're home, you're in prime position to get you get yourself back in the fight for the division or a playoff spot. And Purdy plays probably the worst game I think I've ever seen him play. Rain's not an excuse. I've said before, if the weather isn't perfect for him, things are going to get bad. But the elite guys, the $200 million guys, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Matt Stafford. I wouldn't say he played great this game, but those guys, Jordan Love, like the weather just doesn't matter. Just go out there and ball. And that's where hand size becomes it's a real topic of discussion. But we could crap on the Niners for 60 minutes. I'm sure all of us would have a blast doing it. Let's talk about the Rams, though. I mean, like, you're on the road. Matthew Stafford probably is the worst first half of football you're ever going to see from him, ever. And they still pull it out. And now, because of the Seahawks loss, the Rams sit atop the division. Chris, how dangerous do you think this Rams team really could be?
Dude, I don't know. It's a couple of teams where I'm just like, does things have to go like elite for them to be good, or like do they have to? Like, I can't put my finger on it for this team. But I'd say for that reason alone, I think they can go far because they can have their best game against a really good team and propel themselves and win a game or two. But also, I wouldn't be surprised in them being out, round one, division wild card round, whatever the case may be. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at that either. So I'd say they're very dangerous for the simple fact that they're just a wild card team in the sense of you just don't know. But at the same time, yeah, I feel like at the same time
they're playing a wild card round though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So I feel like at the same time, I think Kupp is elite. I think he's moving close to that top 5 than out of the top 5.
And that's crazy to say after the game he had.
Yeah, but
I think you meant his partner in crime.
I meant Nakua. I'm sorry. I meant Nakua, not Kupp.
I'm about to say Kupp has 0 catches for 0 yards.
I meant
yeah,
Nakua.
That's a cardio demon right there.
Yeah, that was actually Cooper and Nakua fucks me up for some reason. But yeah, I think he's close to the top 5 than not. But also, I don't know what you'll get out of the rest of everyone else. So I think that's what keeps me a little alarmed about this team.
Yeah, well, I will say I told Tony this. I watched Cooper Kupp almost exclusively that game. He was running decoy routes the entire game. Like,
do you think there might be an injury to that, or do you think Kyle Shanahan knows like Cooper Kupp has gotten his number a lot of times, and it's kind of just like let's shift the focus.
I just think that they got 2 guys that they like going to, and they'll game plan to one sometimes, they'll game plan to the other sometimes. I think Puka's getting the ball more now though. I think we might have seen. I know Puka had the big rookie year and everything, but we might have seen an official takeover. Puka's rookie year came when Kupp got hurt.
Yeah, he was better than him last year when he played. So, but we literally had this conversation yesterday at the tailgate. Yeah. Like I told you, like the moment Puka walked into the building, he snatched Kupp's wide receiver 1 chain. So,
and Kupp had the best season ever before that.
Yep, and then dipped. Now, what's so different about him and Mike Thomas? We'll never know.
Kupp's still playing football. That's the difference.
Why is that?
Why is it different? He's still playing football. He's still contributing positively.
Mike Thomas gets a couple injuries and he's out the league, and then Kupp gets a couple injuries and his team still believes in him. So it's relatively the same deal. Mind you, that Triple Crown season, while arguably the greatest wide receiver season of all time, is like his only like Pro Bowl caliber season.
Let's say McVay better than Peyton. Boom. End of story.
I'm down with that. But yeah, I would say one thing I like this game, it got rainy. While Nakua still had a big day, there wasn't really a lot of, passing going around, of course. They leaned on Kyren Williams. It wasn't pretty, only 3.7 yards per carry, but 29 carries, that's just imposing your will, plain and simple. They're like, you know what, this Greenlaw's first game back, we know how talented he is. Let's really test that ankle, though. And, they kept running it downhill at the 49ers. Can't say it was overall like successful, but the idea of it, especially for a guy who likes to get as pretty and stuff as McVay, I like the mentality that he gave to his guys by wanting to continuously run the ball. But if we don't have any words, any other thoughts on that one, we can get to the Sunday slate with the 1 p.m. slate. Let's say we can start with the Ravens, Lamar Jackson with the Jackson 5 on the road, covering a 16-point spread against the Giants. Can't say we learned too much about either team. But Chris, what did you like from 8 yesterday? I mean, going against JV guys, but
yeah, it was like a senior night game, so I expect them to treat it like such. My demon.
And they got their division rival going up next. They got their high school.
We're not worried about that BS. We're not worried about that BS. Devontae Walker, my demon, got his first catch and touchdown. So that's things to come. And if I'm anywhere close to what I was on Rashad Bateman, I'm only 3 years too early. So just talk soon in a couple of years. But no, in reality, I just like the game as a whole. The only surprise to me wasn't that Derrick Henry wasn't heavily involved, like he always is. But I'd say just the passing game as a whole, the offense as a whole, I'll say. I think that's probably the thing that had me most excited. Just seeing them be able to move the ball, even though it's been against a team that's not great. The best part about the Giants, I'd say, is their defense. So to be able to move on them was pretty encouraging to see, especially what Danny was kind of talking to with the game coming up. It was good to see them moving and have some fluidity, I'd say. Yeah, so I just like what I seen. Like I expected a big game out of Lamar, out of the bye for one, and out of two coming off of a performance where he was kind of crappy for his for his standards. I expected a big game, and that's what we got. So I'm happy about that. I talked about it in the beginning, but nothing bad happens when Justice Hill gets the ball. Nothing bad. So him getting the ball is all right with me. Rashad 2 touchdowns. I think it was a game, hopefully, to build on and to be able to get ready for Steelers. With no TJ Watt. No, TJ, you cannot take JJ's body part and put it onto yours so you can be healthy. So
I think TJ didn't look that bad. I think they're considering him if he plays, if Mahomes plays, he's playing. They had like the same injury.
Mahomes injuries are fake. They're just to make you think he's not have devil magic on him. So
dude, swear to God, he looks like he tears his ACL. Nope, little ankle sprain.
Yeah, but his body is like halfway this way, his ankle's the other way. It's like, well, just a rolled ankle. Okay.
Well, I guess with Mahomes, I guess the way to look at it is, he's one of the old, like with the arm angles and all that stuff. Just apply that same like flexibility to like just to the rest of his body. And it kind of just makes sense. His knee can bend a certain way and he'll be good. Yeah, but I mean, I completely agree with everything you said. I mean, Lamar put on a performance and now you're looking at the season stats and it's like, well, if you line him and Allen up side by side, Jackson's having the better season. But then you look at what I don't even want to say once, I guess Allen is more valuable to his team just because his offense is so bad name-wise. But Jackson is also what makes a lot of his pieces work on offense. So I don't know. I mean, our little fun of a potential Saquon MVP, it was fun while it lasted, but we're back to what it was. And it's Allen and Jackson once again. And both pretty deserving. We're going to see how these last couple weeks treat the two guys. Jackson gets a third MVP. That is nasty. That's nasty. Or if he doesn't win it, it's like, wow, this is like actually his best season yet. And he didn't win it. I don't want to say Allen will get like a here damn MVP, but if he doesn't go win a Super Bowl, people are going to be like, oh, look, it was a here damn MVP. Kind of like with Joel Embiid, where like Joel Embiid deserved his MVP, but he got it in like the middle of one of the stinkiest MVP runs you'll ever see by an MVP. So, nonetheless, Dan, did you have any words about this game, or did we want to go to another one?
Oh, we got another one. I think.
I mean, 1 p.m. slate didn't have too much going.
Too much.
I mean, it did. There was a lot going on. Like Jets Jags, that was a really good game. But no one's really bothered with them at this point. Besides Devontae Adams putting up a masterclass.
This was the worst 1 p.m. slate in a long time.
I disagree. From a competitive standpoint, absolutely not.
We're not talking about competition. We're talking about
like playoff implications.
Game impact, game team quality, etc.
I mean, sure. I guess we had some good ones though. Worst 1 p.m. slate ever is. We've probably had several worst 1 p.m. slates of this year alone. Mind you, and early in the, we can move. I mean, we could talk Texans Dolphins though. I mean, Dolphins were still in the thick, especially with a Colts loss later. So, like in hindsight, it's like, damn, we really needed this one.
Hawaiian Daniel Jones. That's the new the new word on the street I've heard. Hawaiian Daniel Jones.
That's pretty tough. But I mean, Stroud plays an efficient one. Not a lot of passing yards, but 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Nico Collins only 4 catches, but 17 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did this change how anyone feels about Houston, in particular, maybe their defense?
Nope.
They got 3 turnovers on Tua.
And I'm no quarterback, but I don't think Tua processes well. I don't know. But it looks like every time it's like 1 look, 2 look, sacked. And it's like, or he just doesn't have good reaction time. I don't know what it is.
He processes well off his first 2 reads. If his first 2 reads aren't there, he's
I'm correct. And
yeah,
exactly
no, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
McDaniels has built a system where it allows Tua, your first look is 95% of the time just going to be open. And then your second look, 99% of the time, is definitely going to be open.
So I guess that makes sense.
And in those rare cases where they're both not open, you're screwed because you have no creative ability. You can't extend plays, which goes along with the creativity. And then you have the arm strength to run scramble drill and just the thing with Mahomes, what it used to be is like, okay, kind of the same deal. Andy Reid built up a system like that. But when stuff hit the fan, this is where it's like,
Mahomes is doing
okay,
the Kyler
Andy
Murray
Reid's like,
circles.
okay, my game plan didn't work, but you are Patrick Mahomes and you're Tyreek Hill. You're going to figure it out. Which now you kind of see where it's like, okay, play didn't work. Kelsey, find a spot Mahomes is going to hit you. With Tua, he just doesn't have the arm, the creativity to do all of that. Off the first 2 reads, that's where you see one of the most efficient quarterbacks in football last year. I believe he was like top 5 in EPA when he was playing. But
it's kind of funny though. Mahomes is it wasn't. Kelsey's been doing that before Mahomes. I went back and watched the last Steelers playoff victory. It's going to be the playoff game against Alex Smith. Right?
Well, I never said he didn't do it with other quarterbacks.
What I'm saying, I know. But Kelsey's been doing this for a long time. So Kelsey went back and did this with Alex Smith. And I was watching the playoff game a couple days ago. Ironically enough, I'm tie this back in. A lot of Chiefs fans were like, "Thank God we lost this game. We weren't winning anything that year, and losing that game helped us trade up for Mahomes." So
this is all your fault.
Mahomes, you're a Chief because of the Steelers.
Look what you did,
and we're putting an end to it this year. Christmas Day.
Right. I hope Carson Wentz plays that game.
That'd be awesome.
Carson Wentz ends your season? Oh my God. Not ends your season. Ends your shot at a division title if you all lose to Baltimore. Speaking of the Chiefs, they released Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if anyone cared.
After he went on a hunting trip with Carson Wentz.
That's crazy. Well,
not a Super Bowl legend, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No way.
That's what I said. I was like, yo, no. Every Chiefs team has this elite running back. Or
elite random.
Okay, first of all, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was never elite at any point in his career.
But Super Bowl legend.
Two,
throw it in there. You have to.
What
Super Bowl legend?
What Super Bowl was he a legend in?
I don't even know. Doesn't even matter because Snoop Huntley's a Pro Bowler, and that's what I call him, Pro Bowl Huntley. Do you even remember? No.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire did not have a single good Super Bowl appearance, like at all.
He played in the Super Bowl.
There you go, Danny. See. And we're on the Chiefs. That's basically just as good as making a huge play. Because what did Mecole Hardman do before that?
You got that Brian Scalabrine ring. Get the hell out of here.
And Brian Scalabrine, look what he finessed it into. An endless job. Look at it.
Well, Brian Scalabrine's famous because he's closer to LeBron than you are to him. Well, I don't know about Chris specifically, but definitely me and Danny.
Well, Clyde Edwards a little closer to Barry Sanders than I am, so.
Maybe not. Just maybe not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Clyde was 100% like an ego, like statistical Super Bowl pick by the 2019 or 2020
Man,
Chiefs.
they chose a running back on a team that had the best passing offense of all time.
Which is not bad. Like they still needed a back, but it. Who
No,
was
no,
on that
I'm not
line?
talking about the Chiefs. I'm talking about LSU.
Oh yeah, that is true. And then, like Edwards was
LSU had the best
fine.
passing offense of all time in college, and they
Yeah.
chose the running back from that team.
There wasn't much to go after the two guys got taken off the board. Or
I know.
well, one's off the board, one's still in school. But
And he didn't play the next year. It's pretty funny.
yep, he didn't play and still was the first receiver off the board. Jamar Chase was that good. But yeah.
Or was Kyle Pitts?
If we don't feel too different on any of the Texans or Dolphins,
Let's get
let's talk about the Chiefs, and not particularly this game. They kind of did what they wanted to. Winston got benched. But you look at the Chiefs, and I don't know if any. Let me bring up their last 3 games real quick. But with this Mahomes injury, not to say you know how he is, but they have Texans on Saturday, the Steelers on Wednesday. So I'm going to assume if Mahomes is out for one, he might be out for both.
He's
What
with his injury history, he's never missed a game from this injury.
From an ankle injury?
Yep, he's never missed again. Or he might have missed 1 week ever back in like 2019. But
no, remember he dislocated his kneecap.
No, I'm talking about from his ankle.
Ankle injuries, no, because they have an unlimited supply of
horse
pills and whatnot. But see, my worry for the Chiefs at least is if Mahomes can barely make this offense like look, I don't want to say they look bad because they're still doing their thing. But it's almost like if any other quarterback is trying to operate this offense, it's not going to work. And now we have Carson Wentz potentially doing it. But I want to ask you guys, what does a Carson Wentz led Chiefs team look like? But like, who even has like any idea?
I mean, let's talk about the highs and the lows. Carson Wentz is the epitome of polar Mahomes. Carson Wentz's best might be Patrick Mahomes. And his worst is like Nate Peter. Like,
can we say something about Carson Wentz's peak? We haven't seen it in 7 years, and it wasn't as good as Mahomes. He completed 60% of his passage, which is below average. He was a below average quarterback on first and second down. He was still a bad decision maker. There's a lot of plays made by his guys. And he didn't like taking the easy stuff. I just want to say that real quick. But now I don't know. I truly don't know how this team will operate if Mahomes is out. They would easily lose these next 2 games without Patrick Mahomes.
The last time Pat Mahomes had a right high ankle sprain was the Jags game going into the Super Bowl, and he played through it in the Super Bowl. Will the Chiefs let him play through it with 2 weeks to go to the Super Bowl when they're basically playing for seeding? I don't think so.
I think the thing to do is maybe sit him this Texans game. Look, if he wants to play, bro, let him have it. He's Patrick Mahomes. He has the key to the city. Let him do what he wants. But if I did have any control over it, sit him this game against Houston. Probably going to lose. But if there's any chance you win, sit him against Pittsburgh. So, and it won't matter to me because I'll be watching NBA basketball. But
same.
Well, I'm
Chris, you're gonna be watching basketball over the Ravens?
Yes, I will be split screening. So in my front room, I have the NFL app on that TV, and I have the NBA app and NFL app on this TV.
What's
so
the
whenever
NFL
one
app?
goes to break, I'm just going to run full speed back and forth to make sure I catch both.
Wait, what's the NFL app? What does that give you?
Well, it gives me red zone, but Also, I forgot it's on Netflix on Christmas. Yeah, so I'll have Netflix on in there, and then I'll be running full speed in here to watch my goats on there because Anthony Edwards is playing Kevin Durant, Goat James. Oh, I'll be there. I'll be in both places at the same time. Just call me a twin.
Eyes in the back of your head.
Literally, I'll need them.
Who's
Let's,
the WWE who had the eyes in the back of the head?
Who?
The
Who said
wrestler.
who? Oh,
WWE. I'm drawing a blank. I
If
don't
it's
know.
on my goat, Rey Mysterio or Jeff Hardy, IDK.
I have no clue.
Well, there's not much juice going on in the 1 p.m. slate, as Danny said earlier. Spencer Rattler almost led a game-winning drive, but he couldn't get in on the 2-point conversion.
Quick question.
Moving on to the 4 p.m. slate, though, let's talk about Lions Bills. Let's talk about Lions Bills. Bills win an absolute thriller.
Back-to-back weeks.
Yeah. Well, no, Bills lost last.
I mean, back-to-back weeks they played thrillers. Sorry.
Yeah, well, back-to-back weeks they put up 48 points or something like that. I think they put up
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're averaging 45 points per game in their last two. Now, Chris, I know you're not a fan of Allen has a big game plus win equals he is the MVP, but I'm forcing you to say good things about this Josh Allen performance and Jared Goff performance. What do you think of the game?
And the crazy part, I'm not even mad at it. I just want it to work for everybody. Like, I want everybody to get that. I have 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm an MVP today. That's the only thing. But in saying that, to say, Josh Allen's been elite these last 2 games. He's been the most valuable player on the field these last 2 games. So I'm not mad at anybody pushing the agenda for real. I just hate that part. But I think what I've seen and what everybody else seen, I think every week, and this is the one thing I say about Lamar, especially this year, Josh Allen shows you why he's special, right? Every week. He does 2 or 3 special things. We're like, there's probably only 1 or 2 people that can do that. He does that weekly. Now, Lamar does it in different things, but it's like Lamar's is, I'm jogging, but I'm still running faster than the rest of my team. Like, that's what makes it look cool. Josh Allen is, I'm fading out of bounds with to throw this 40-yard pass across my body over there while I'm falling out of bounds. Like, those are the special things that I see Josh Allen do. And I think MVP in this realm, I would give it to the Dwight Howard, Derrick Rose, and why I thought Dwight Howard was the MVP, because I thought he was the most valuable player on his team. And I think Josh Allen is that, because you can say below average receiving room. Yes, you have Amari Cooper, but this isn't 4 years ago. And you have a lot of young guys. The running backs do well. I get all of that. But the engine is Josh Allen. And you can say that for every quarterback, but take Josh Allen off this team, they'd be fighting for Shador and Cam Ward. Like, nobody else can be able to do what he's doing. And I think it's needed to keep them in these games the way they have there, whether that be because the defense isn't as great all the time or the weapons. But saying all to say, to summarize it, I think Josh Allen was special, and I think that was a MVP performance.
I think we need to talk about his coach as well.
Oh yeah, one of the better ones too. Elite.
McDermott is one of the best in the league, and everyone doubted him. Him and Tomlin went to college together.
Makes sense.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
I think William and Mary, I believe.
Psychopath University.
Yeah, they're good leaders of men, and on top of that, they're good decision makers, I think. And I think those things stand out.
If the Steelers and Bills do a little inter squad, I think during training camp sometimes, because it's like 2 hours away from each other. And Tomlin and what's his name, are McDermott, are like really good friends still. I'm pretty sure they play on the same college team, which
that's cool.
If you don't know that as an NFL fan, they both are 2 top 10 coaches in the NFL. No matter how the cookie might crumble. So, let's talk about another top 10 coach in the NFL, Nick Sirianni.
Did you want to move on from this game so fast, or Bills, Lions? All we wanted to say was, well, actually, I had a couple things I would say. Let me not lie.
We can wait to talk about Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a second. But what I wanted to say, I have 2 things about both these quarterbacks. Let's start with Josh Allen. He did not. The MVP isn't his just yet, but it is his to lose. If he puts up even one subpar game, Lamar Jackson's going to steal it from you. Because we're getting to that point where it's about week to week, and basically whoever balls out last wins.
Can Lamar win the MVP without winning the division?
I think the voters, honestly, if they haven't taken that into consideration at this point, I don't think they will, because the Steelers have been ahead of them in the division essentially all year, and it didn't make him lose his hype, I would say. I think if he has another bad game, he can lose the Steelers again. You have another bad game against Pittsburgh, though, that's all but over.
Yeah, that's true. If the Steelers put up 35 on the Ravens defense and Lamar puts up like 4 touchdowns, runs 2 in.
Yeah, like if he can just do his part, I don't think they'll knock him too much. But if he plays like a similar game that he did last time, it's over.
Chris, I will say I'm scared because I know what the Ravens have been, and Tony said this yesterday. It feels like every time the Steelers beat the Ravens, it's a fluke. But I'm like, how can every time be a fluke?
Yeah, and it almost gets to a point. Like I think, and me specifically, I think the last time y'all beat them, that's where. And maybe it shouldn't have taken me this long, but it kind of. I'm like, maybe they just have a formula for him, and it kind of doubled down because yesterday I think Jalen was trying to like get to the outside, and they just really wouldn't let him do that, and I'm like, wow, it's like okay, so there is some thought behind this. The only difference is that Jalen Hurts throws to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. But yeah, back to
Zay Flowers catches the ball.
That's so.
Steelers
If it doesn't doink off his face.
If the Steelers don't have devil magic every time they play the Ravens receivers' hands turns to stone every time they play Pittsburgh. Don't know how or don't know why.
Yep. Honestly, the guys could be scared.
I'm gonna tell y'all what it is. That's exactly. I think that's what it is. I think our receivers. I think they don't want to catch the ball against the Steelers over the middle because they know it's pain coming, and I think that's part of Mike Tomlin. So, in the sense of the reason why the Steelers keep beating the Ravens is because the Steelers take on their coach's personality when they play the Ravens. Let me go hit you in the mouth. Gonna do all this thing. Blah blah blah. The Ravens take on our coach's personality, and I love John Harbaugh. Y'all know it, but our coach tells us that's just God who wants to win. That's why the ball didn't bounce our way. So that's the difference. Harbaugh's leaving it up to other powers, and Mike Tomlin's going to take it. That's just the difference when they play.
I love that analogy. I love that analogy. That's a perfect way to describe the Steelers. They take on the persona of their coach. Because one could say the Eagles kind of work the same way. But last thing I wanted to say, I gave my spiel. Like I think Allen he's got the MVP is within his grasp, the first one of his career. An absolutely phenomenal performance. I think one of the best of his career, if not the best performance of his career. Just doing things that like no one else can do. How guys have signature throws, right? All players got signature. Lamar has the one where like if you give him like 4 seconds in the pocket, he's gonna uncork this thing like a million miles. Chris knows what I'm talking about. Mahomes, he'll have when he's rolling to his right and he'll see somebody, he's just gonna he's gonna let it fly at any angle. And then Allen says, I'm going out of bounds and I'm throwing it back across my body to make a play. Where no one else in the NFL is capable of making those plays on a consistent basis. So my other thing is Jared Goff. The Zach LaVine of quarterbacks. A couple years ago, and this still may be true, Zach LaVine had a plus minus on the season, or I don't know if it was plus minus specifically, but his offensive plus minus and his defensive plus minus. His defensive plus minus was so unbelievably horrible, it brought his total to 0. He had no impact on the floor. Whatever he could put up on offense, he was letting up on defense. And, vice versa, whatever it may be. But Goff, back to Goff, he throws 5 interceptions in a game, and they win. He throws 5 touchdowns in a game, they lose. I don't think he impacts this team at all. I think he's like in baseball. There's a stat called WAR. It stands for
wins above replacement.
Or in basketball, value over replacement player. I think Goff will be a solid 0. If he is your average middle tier quarterback, replace him with anyone even slightly better, they could probably walk out of that game with a win.
I do think he's not going to be a 0 WAR player. I think he's definitely a positive WAR player.
Same reason why Tua was one of the best players in EPA last year. It's not him. But when you're asking, when you break out of the system, I need you to go hoop, his impact is going to be 0 in my opinion.
The problem with WAR and a bunch of these stats is it's highly reliable on stats. And
that's exactly why Goff specifically and Tua specifically, those stats may look good, but if we're looking just from your talent as a player, your abilities as a player, you can tell average when you see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the film tells more story than the stats is what I think what the conclusion is to be made.
Yeah. And I'm essentially saying, I'm not saying he would have, well, I guess I am saying he'd have a 0 WAR because he is a replaceable player. He's a very replaceable player. So that's more my point. I also just kind of want to throw out that Zach LaVine stat to kind of put it into perspective that like he's not adding or taking away from this team, in my opinion. The stats look great. He's a very limited guy. Very limited. I think I don't want to call that last touchdown garbage time, but the game was over.
Yeah, so. The Bills were plus 100,000 at that point on the sports book. So
yeah, there's that. But we can move on to Eagles Steelers. Danny, you said you wanted to say something about Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I think Nick Sirianni could be starting to talk about as a great coach.
We're starting now.
We can start now because people talked about him as a horrible coach in the beginning of the season.
I never, for what he's asked to do, I never thought he was all that bad. Again, kind of like the guys we were talking about. Well, McDermott's a little bit better with defense. Well, a lot better with defense. But like Tomlin, other coaches that have the CEO style, leader of men, good game decision maker. I've always thought Sirianni had that in him. Now, last year when the things start breaking down, you look to him, and he couldn't pull through, but it was kind of irreversible damage. I don't think any head coach would have handled that situation properly.
Yeah. I do want to ask you a question though.
Go ahead.
I want to ask you this. Explain to me why the Eagles won't win the Super Bowl. Because I think right now everyone is considering the Super Bowl favorites. What will hold them back?
What would hold them back from winning a Super Bowl is going to be, I would say, the play calling diet of Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, yesterday was a prime example. Jalen Hurts said it too. Just because we don't do it doesn't mean we can't do it. He was like, all right, y'all want me to light these dudes up from the past game? They discuss it all week. Kellen's like, hey, that's what we're going to do then. Saquon dealing with an injury all game. While Kenneth Gainwell had a solid game, clearly this wasn't going to be a day where Jalen Hurts was just going to hand the ball off and sit back from the get-go. First snap, throws it over the middle to Grant Calcaterra, layering it over a backer in between the safety. It was an amazing throw, and that kind of just set the tone. If Kellen Moore can get Jalen Hurts and these receivers these easy reps over the middle to line things up to go deep down the sideline and deep over the middle of the field, I don't think anyone in this league is going to be able to. I don't think anyone can stop them from winning a Super Bowl. But it's all about a balance of repetition. Kellen Moore, while experienced, is still a very young offensive coordinator. You've watched him put up 31 plus points per game in Dallas, and then when it matters most, he gets too run happy. The past 4 weeks, we've been winning, so you wouldn't call it he's run happy calling. But if we were losing, you'd certainly be calling it that. But because we're winning, he's able to rely on these backs more. You don't have to put all the stress on Jalen. But starting with this last game that they just beat, the Steelers, build onto this. And if you can find the correct balance, they'll win the Super Bowl. But to Sirianni's credit, 3 straight seasons with 10-2 starts. Regardless of how last season ended, the guy knows how to win. He is a quarterback who doesn't care how it looks. He just wants to win. Has a group on defense that especially this year. This defense is nasty. Darnell Washington blocked Darius Slay out of the crib. He, threw him out the club, for lack of a better term. And last year, you know, they would have let that slide. Somebody blocking my guy 5 seconds after the play's over, they would have let that slide. Nope. Jalen Carter comes and runs over. Quinion Mitchell is coming over fighting Calvin Austin. And that's the stuff that wasn't there last year. And
they had 0 penalties for it. No kidding.
And they got 0 penalties for it because Darnell Washington was blocking 5 seconds after the play was over.
There was no whistle.
There was a whistle. We both watched the video. The play was blown dead in the middle of the end zone, and he took Slay to the stands. The penalty deserved to be called.
He didn't get a penalty on him.
Who was the penalty on then?
The penalty was for Austin for throwing it.
No, it was called. We were both at the game. They said number 80.
I guess they called 2 penalties, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, they did call both on you guys. Yep. Tell Calvin Austin mind his business, unless he wants to get his ass whooped by Q. He was already strapped to the seatbelt, so seatbelt was already secured. He can also get those hands too.
Man, he had a good game.
But yeah, best defense in the league.
Yeah. Speaking about this, I do want to say the Pittsburgh Steelers had their worst offensive output since what year? I'm gonna see you guys can figure out what year.
I don't know.
2023?
2010. Charlie Batch was the quarterback.
Man.
I thought we
Shout out Charlie Batch.
Days.
Yeah, so
Charlie Batch didn't deserve to stray.
They had their worst game offensively with yards since Charlie Batch quarterback. And I don't even think they were struggling to move the ball that much. It's more so they didn't have the ball in the second half. They had 2 opportunities to have the ball. They moved the ball well out of the second half. They're going to go looking like they're going to go down, put at least a field goal up, and the fumble killed the game. And look.
Well, that was the only drive of the 2 drives you have in the second half. That's the only one where you slightly moved the ball, and that one included the Fields slide that gave you a 15 extra yards. So,
the other one they were at the
ball don't lie though.
The other one they got over the 50-yard line, and then that was the penalty where Jalen Carter punched Cam Hayward's little brother in the head.
Deserved, I say.
Yeah.
Own that nipple, baby king.
That is that should have been enforced on the play. Actually, they are saying because it happened before the punt. But my thing is this: I'm not about to ask for a first down and be like the game. Remember, Tomlin should have been going for it at that point of the game.
Down 14, 10 minutes left. He thought he was getting the ball back. Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah. Not even that. But like you're down 14, you should be going for it, right? Number 2, like why? I just don't like the play call. Why are you putting the ball there? It sucks. But I think transitioning. The Steelers just played a top 3 team in the NFL.
One could argue the favorites.
Yeah, one could argue the favorites to win the Super Bowl. They were in the game without George Pickens. Coming out of half. After the Eagles, they held the Eagles to a field goal after halftime.
Okay.
And
the score was 17 to 13 going into the half.
The Eagles got a field goal
27 to 13.
What I'm saying is
we opened the
Eagles got the ball in the second half. They got a field goal. It was 20 to 13. Najee had the fumble. If they go and score a touchdown, the game might wind up differently.
Sure.
The Steelers have to capitalize. Their keys to success is going to be not turning the ball over versus Baltimore and punching in touchdowns. Because last time we saw they were getting down in the red zone and penalties. They were beat up by penalties. Same thing happened. And people always talk about Mike Tomlin as owning all these teams that are like super disciplined. And it just seems like they're not. Like, why are they getting gun penalties? Why are they getting down the red zone and blocking people out of bounds? It's just quite doesn't make much sense to me why they're renowned as a team that is well disciplined when you get to the red zone and you shoot yourself in your own foot every single game.
Yeah. I do want to just imply I completely disagree with you. I think 14 points doesn't explain how dominant the Eagles was. And if you kind of want to look to a drive that told the story, no better drive to do than the last one of the game. Started with 10:30 left, and Sirianni and company said, yeah, you were punting because you thought, like, hypothetically you were getting the ball back. That's not going to happen. 10 minutes of just kicking their ass up and down the field. It was truly remarkable. And the best part about it is one could look at that and just believe, oh, their run game was entirely unstoppable that drive. Saquon, like, fell on his ass for a 5-yard loss, got tackled for another 4-yard loss, got tackled for a 1-yard loss. Saquon was not that effective on that drive. It was a lot of Jalen Hurts finding AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. There was a really good
Kenneth
throw.
Gainwell.
And Kenneth Gainwell out of the backfield for a couple plays. Truthfully, they drained the clock by throwing the ball. Jalen Hurts' arm salted the game away with 10 minutes left. And I thought that was remarkable. I thought that was really remarkable.
I do want
Also, if you want to look at something else, there's a screenshot that Danny, I think, showed me on Twitter. The Eagles got to like 200 total yards before the Steelers got to 10.
Nah, it was like 150. 150 to like 8.
It was certainly more than, because we were at the, okay, maybe 10 is exaggeration, but you guys had like 11 total yards. The Eagles had like 193. Like, it was, it was up there.
The game opened. Steelers 3 play 3 yards. Eagles 7 play 54 yards. Steelers 3 play 2 yards. Eagles 6 plays 24 yards in the fumble. Steelers 3 plays negative 11 yards. That was the punt and the muff punt. Steelers 4 plays negative 8 yards. Eagles 6 plays 70 yards. Steelers 3 plays negative 5 yards. Eagles 9 plays 45 yards. Then they went 11 plays 70 yards.
Yeah,
they had no offense to start the game, and that's where they lost the game.
And the Eagles offense started out hot. The first time they've done it all year. If you look at these Eagles and Steelers teams, they're statistically some of the worst first quarter teams in the league. From that point on, that's why they're respectively 10-4 and 12-2.
Yeah, and shout out my guy Calvin Austin. I said he was gonna have a good day. 5 catches, 65 yards,
and about like a third of that was on a flea flicker, while he was guarded by Zach Bond. Just to let you know.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Got to get him as you get it.
That's cool. All your boys got took into Quinyana Mobe. But enough of the homers talking. Chris, what do you think of Eagles Steelers? The Eagles, they got their pass game back. Not that I never left. Again, just because we don't doesn't mean we can't. What'd you think?
Yeah, that's what I say about windmilling on fast breaks. Just because I don't mean I can't. And even though I can't. Even though I can't.
We're going to have to rewind the clock a little bit for that to happen.
No, but you have to literally give me a new clock and new legs. I literally would never do
Your the Derrick Rose knees would not allow you to do that.
No, if I had those knees, I probably could do a double windmill. But I would say this. I think the thing about the Eagles that I seen was it's like a tune-up game to an extent against a really good team. And I think it's one of those games where you need, as far as the Eagles made the Steelers look like they were average as far as team goes. And I think the Steelers this year have been above average. And I think that's what really good teams do. They do that to good teams. And I think this is one of those times where you had to, like you said, get everything clicking. And it's a hard team to do it against, but they did it. And I think that means more than anything. Like I said, if it's sacrificing the Saquon MVP game, like to get his stock up, then I think it was worth it for what they're going to get out of it that game and, down the road. So I think it was a really good game. For the Steelers, I think it's just kind of like a tale of their season to an extent. Less when they have Russ Wilson, though, in the sense of defense being there for the most part, but offense not being able to move it, or defense not being able to get enough stops for offense to do enough. It kind of seemed like it was some Steelers of old in that game, which I think is just an anomaly, not like a pattern, in my opinion. So
it's the Eagles being good.
Yeah,
that's
why
the Eagles were 10, I believe, 10 of 17 on third down.
Yeah, and it's hard to beat anybody.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
all, dude. When you're over 50% on third down,
because you keep the
converting
ball
every drive, you're
you
keeping the ball. And guess what? That's not fourth down. They're 10 of 17 on third down. They're on the fourth down. It's free. It's free first down because they're only going for it when it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, and they're getting shoved. So it's like they're already converting 100% of the fourth downs, and you got to stop them on third and make them punt and make it 4th and 5 so that they can't just shove them for the first. And that's why I don't hate the push because guess what? You had 3 downs to stop them. The Steelers were getting them on second and 12, third and 8, 3rd and 9. Just don't allow 9 yards and to get them 3rd and 4th and short, and you're good. And that wasn't happening. So that's where they lost the game. I can get down with that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably my main deal. And it's just I hope the Steelers play worse against my team, obviously, because I want my team to win. But I think it would be on the side of bounce back game for them as well, in that sense. So I think we're getting up for a good game because of that. I think the Steelers, I don't think they played horrible, but I think what Danny said is really most important. They have really critical mistakes in times where they did them. I think they kind of did them as far as fumble and all those other things. So I think it was just more an anomaly game for the Steelers, and they just got beat by a better team as well. And I think the Eagles kind of flexed their muscle a little bit. Like, yeah, we can get AJ and Devontae Smith and Bob. We can still keep Saquon kind of chill this week. And I think it was just like a subtle flex in the stint in the fact of winning the game.
Yeah, I will say just the last thing about this. The Steelers the Eagles had 140 rushing yards on like 40 attempts. The Eagles were averaging like just over 3 yards a carry, which the Steelers couldn't ask for a better game, holding a team that rushes the ball 40 times a game for 130 yards. Saquon had his worst output of the year, I believe, for 65 yards, and Jalen Hurts rushed for like 40, and Gainwell had a couple more. Hurts beat them. They made Hurts beat them, and Hurts beat them. And in order to see Lamar beat them, they're going to make Lamar Jackson beat them. They're going to make the Ravens players beat them is what happens. Because Hurts didn't beat them on the ground. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith beat them.
One could argue he did though.
He had a few good plays.
Pretty good runs. He had one where we thought if he just went left, he was going to score. But he decided to just scoot on past the safety and get hulked by TJ Watt.
Looking to see Deshaun Elliott back against the Ravens.
Yeah. And the last game I really want to talk about was Seahawks-Packers. That was the Sunday night game. In the 3 weeks leading up to this, those were probably the 2 NFC teams that I was talking up the most. Just for the Packers to subtly flex on that and put the Seahawks back into second in their division, and the Seahawks or the Packers only strengthen their case as an NFC elite. What did we like from the Packers offense? Love was 20 for 27, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Josh Jacobs, another big day, has easily been the 3rd best running back in the league this year. Maybe 4th if you want to argue with Gibbs, but just not too many guys better than him this year. What did we think? Chris, Danny, anyone want to start?
Chris, you want to start?
Yeah, dude. I'm not becoming any more of a believer in Jordan Love. It's not moving me. But Jacobs, I'm telling you, every week, I feel like he's like, and this, like when I say what I'm saying, don't think I'm putting them together for real. It's like Saquon and Derrick Henry put together in the sense of the Packers using him in the run game, up the middle, outside, in the pass game. He's everywhere. And on top of having all the speedy wide receivers they have and my boy Romeo Doubs, I think they have a really good mix of how they get the ball downfield or how they look to do it. And I think that's probably most important for playoff time, especially when you have such a good running game like them. And they have so many quick weapons. Like Jaden Reed last week was irrelevant. I don't think he did anything too crazy this game, but you still put out pretty good offense. I mean, he played solid, but I think it wasn't like nothing to where it's like, oh, he bounced back from last week. So saying that to say, I just think the Packers have a lot of weapons. And I think as you get far into the playoffs, as you get far into the playoff picture, I think that's kind of what it goes down to. Like if your weapons are going to weapon and if your defense is going to be able to stop. And I think they've proven both of those for when they need them. The defense can get stops when they need it, and their offense can score when they need it. So I think it was a really, 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 really good game from the Lions. I mean, not Lions. I'm sorry, Packers. I said Packers. My bad.
Packers,
Yeah.
Lions, NFC North.
Yeah,
one of those teams going to come out of there.
He was talking about 2 quarterbacks he doesn't like, so you got mixed up.
I got brain. My bad.
Which I don't. And look, we're gonna get you to commit to the Michael Jordan love agenda at some point. We'll get
Well,
there.
unfortunately, Tone, it will have to be after I quit my Aaron Rodgers running back one more time next season agenda.
With the Packers.
No, with the Jets, because every
Oh,
time I see him and Devontae Adams connect for a pass, I'm like, you know what? Maybe.
let's see. Danny, thoughts on the game though? I mean, Gino gets hurt, but yeah. Any thoughts on the Packers?
I had the Packers winning in a commanding way. I thought they were going to win by at least 4 points. And I thought Jaden Reed was going to have a better game. But I think the most clear thing is what we know got further explained. What I mean by that is Jordan Love proved that he's just going to be a ball distributor. He's going to be a point guard. He's going to just distribute to all of his weapons, all 5, 6, 7 of them, whatever he might have. Bo Melton, I don't even know who's on the team. I don't even know who their 7th receiver is, but he's going to get the ball, right? That's what Jordan Love is. And we continue to see that with Dobbs. We could see Dobbs has been phased out of the rotation for much of the year. We haven't seen what we expected of Dobbs, right? But he had a great game. So I think that's what we expect from the Packers in the playoffs, and that's what makes them so dangerous to be a Super Bowl contender, is that they have guys that can win against every different scheme. They have someone who can stretch the field. They have Kraft who can play really solid tight end. They have the Debo Samuel of their team, so to say, and Jaden Reed. They have Christian Watson who's going to stretch you out. They have Dobbs who's going to be more of a route guy. So they have every single route tech type of guy. So
Okay. I did want to say you're right about everything else. The one thing I'm disagreeing with is opinion based, not to say you're wrong, but I think Goff is a point guard. He's going to get it to his superior players, and they're going to make the play. Where I think it's different, I think we're looking at, if we have to compare him to point guards, I think Goff would be like a Stockton. And Love would be like a Chris Paul.
I was going to say Chris Paul, man. He's a point guard.
He is making the play for the guy. All the guy has to do is catch the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
Sorry,
no. I get what you mean though.
Guard, I'm saying he is a point guard. I'm not saying he's like. I'm not just saying he's like
God.
Yeah,
one would say. Especially during Toyotathon.
And Love
he really looks like Chris Paul during
the same way. He might end his career the same way Chris Paul does.
Don't do that, man. Don't say that. It's heartbreaking. I mean, but yeah, I have nothing really on this game that you guys haven't already said. So, anything else we want to talk about from Week 15 at all, or?
No, I think Week 15 is a good week. 16, I will be watching in New York on Saturday. So I'm excited to get a few drinks in, see some Christmas Village.
Few drinks.
And
please don't mention alcohol in my presence ever.
I'm gonna have to seriously convince Carolyn to let me watch the Steelers Ravens.
Man, you ever watch Westbrook eating the hot dog? One had to. He didn't have to convince nobody. He was just doing his thing.
Ready? DJ Ugalagalai has declared for the NFL draft, but the NFL declined.
I thought you were being dead serious. I was like,
he
I thought you said
he did.
He declared for the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Did he mention that the UFL draft as well?
Nope. I don't know. He might have, but it says he declared for the NFL draft.
Yeah, so my boy Carl, he didn't have like a great statistical senior season, but he's really, really good. Like I know how good he is as a football player.
I know Carl.
NFL good, I'm not exactly sure. Is just because he's a little bit on the smaller side. Yeah. But there have been smaller guys to make the NFL from small school. It's a matter of opportunity, right? But when he put out his message, I'm declaring for, he said the NFL and the UFL draft. Yeah. So that just lets him put his name in the pool. I think DJ should probably do a little bit of the same.
I do want you to know, DJ, you better off going back to college for like the 8th year.
8th year. No, he should just fire up the LinkedIn.
He can't play football.
He's not good. Somebody, I did see this on Twitter though. Somebody posted their bet from before the year. They put $30 on DJU for Heisman.
They said this auto
could've sent
didn't
that to me.
cash out.
Yeah, they said they posted on Twitter after Travis won it. They were like, "Dang it." Yeah, there were some interesting parts of the there were I believe 2 Heisman ballots that didn't have Travis Hunter in the top 10. That's racist. That's racist. That's no, there's no way. Like there are people who genuinely believe he is just mid at 2 positions. No, he's top 3 at 2 positions.
And then worse, if he's top 5 at both positions.
He
Does that make him at
is
least top 3?
at the absolute worst, top 5 at both positions. But truth be told, the only receiver who was better than him in college football this year, at least in my opinion,
or San Jose State guy?
Nah, no
hell
shot.
no.
Ryan
Hell
Nash.
no.
Hell no.
I was seeing some.
I was talking about Ted McMillan. And regardless, Trav had a better statistical year than Ted McMillan, and they play in the same conference. So
Same conference.
they play the same exact teams. They're playing the same people. I just like Ted's tools as a receiver better. Big fan of Ted McMillan and Trav. And then the only other guy who's even in the realm of them when it comes to this NFL draft is going to be Luther Burden III. He's also really, really good. Those 3 are going to be phenomenal. And then corner wise, don't talk to me about anyone else. I don't care.
Will Johnson, right?
Will Johnson is one of the top names. Just give me Trav.
Yeah,
give me Trav personally. He's been targeted 30 times this year. Yet still leads the conference in pass breakups. Still has 4 interceptions because he has 1 of 1 ball skills as a corner. Okay. How many corners have? You're sure you played wide receiver in the past, but how many of you have actually have in the moment wide receiver skills when the ball is coming your way? You know,
it's just strange to be the ball.
Even with Travis's small frame, catches everything, plays through contact. His biggest play of me and Dave were just talking about this yesterday. Biggest play of the year was a tackle. It was the tackle at the goal line to force a fumble and to win their Big 12 opener.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That game was, and Shador had 50-yard. It wasn't even Hail Mary. It was just a dot. It was crazy. That game was awesome. I was in New Orleans watching that one. Man. Shout out to the Colorado boys. Hope they win the Alamo Bowl, of course. Own those Mormons.
Should have won the Pop-Tart Bowl, but
they should have got the Pop-Tart Bowl. Alamo Bowl's cool though.
From Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yeah, shout out Pop-Tart Bowl though. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe, turn on the post noties, and if you're listening to this on audio platforms, leave a like, 5-star review. All the stuff that's going to push the algorithm from AP New Freezer, Culture by Migos, DC Comics. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys next week.